In the summer after a massive wildfire, the landscape looks dead. Ash coats the ground, and charred trunks stand like blackened pillars. To most observers, this appears as pure devastation. Ecologists see something else, the beginning of succession. This is a specific biological process where a landscape transforms through a disturbance to reach a higher state of complexity. Within weeks, fireweed blooms purple across the burn zone. Its seeds can lie dormant in the soil for decades, specifically requiring the intense heat of the fire to wake them. We can see the signs of a similar fire in our own civilization. Financial systems now lurch between systemic crises, and political institutions are losing legitimacy faster than they can reform. As ecological systems cross physical tipping points, the very structures of industrial modernity are unmistakably failing. Yet beneath this visible breakdown, living networks persist. Groups are practicing cooperation, scientists are sharing knowledge openly, and local economies experiment with circularity. The success of our transition depends on our ability to intentionally sequence this rebirth, recognizing and nurturing these networks before the fire consumes what cannot be restored. Systemic regeneration follows the logic of a chrysalis. To produce a butterfly, the caterpillar's existing structure must dissolve entirely so it can be rebuilt into a new form. This chart contrasts the mechanics of our current systems with a regenerative model. We have to replace vicious feedback loops, where success in one area creates failure in another, with virtuous loops, where a success in education or ecology directly strengthens others. Rewiring our civilization happens across three distinct phases. The priority for this decade is Phase 1, triage. Triage is emergency stabilization. It is the work of preventing damage that cannot be undone. Once we cross certain thresholds, options like reassembling collapsed ice sheets or reviving extinct species close for centuries. On a physical level, triage requires halting new fossil fuel infrastructure and the aggressive protection of natural carbon sinks, like forests and wetlands. This phase also involves stabilizing our social fabric. Without curbing weaponized polarization and the extraction of our attention, we lose the baseline level of cooperation required to manage a global emergency. While triage buys us time, Phase 2 begins the decades-long work of transition. This is less about fixing individual problems and more about changing the patterns that generate them. Our economy must shift from extraction to circulation. This means scaling renewable energy and redesigning production so that investments flow toward restoration rather than depletion. Governance also shifts from control to coordination. We see this in planetary agreements like the Global Biodiversity Framework, where nearly 200 nations agreed to coordinate the protection of land and sea. Beyond the transition is Phase 3, protopia. To reach this stage, we must leave behind the static, often violent illusion of achieving a perfect utopia. A protopian civilization is a feedback-literate society. Instead of a final, perfect state, it commits to continuous improvement through learning and feedback, treating every failure as the raw material for the next iteration. This ensures systemic resilience. Instead of reaching a dead end of perfection, the civilization continues to adapt and evolve, exactly like a living ecosystem. External redesign is impossible without an internal shift in human consciousness. Václav Havel argued that a human upheaval in society is impossible without a matching upheaval in our worldview. We are called to cultivate 4 specific capacities: discernment, to see clearly through noise; empathy, to feel our interdependence; imagination, to envision alternatives; and agency, to act amid uncertainty. These capacities require us to surrender the modern promise of total mastery. Complexity science has shown that living systems cannot be commanded. They must be tended, like a gardener nurturing the conditions for a landscape to thrive. This leads to mature hope. Mature hope does not require the conviction that everything will turn out well. It is the certainty that the work is worth doing, regardless of the outcome. We are the first generation to see the whole Earth as a single living system, and perhaps the last with a meaningful chance to prevent its catastrophic collapse. The central question of our time is not, will we win? It is, who will we be? Our legacy depends on whether we choose to be the ancestors who saw clearly, acted courageously, and tipped the balance toward regeneration.